Hey guys, this is Evan Summers, and as always, I'm here with Dana Dalby and my lovely wife Jennifer. Welcome once again to our Sunday night essential oils education class. Tonight, we're going to let Dana take the reins. She is going to do a class for us centered on DIY projects, especially DIY projects for the holidays. And of course, I will say this again. I've said it, when we set this class up for the first time. Why are we talking about the holidays when it's not even September yet? Well, quite honestly, Dana and I felt it would be a good idea for you to take notes, be able to gather your supplies, gather the essential oils, and quite honestly, you may want to practice some of these DIY projects so you have the stuff ready and available when it comes time to give these gifts out for the holidays. So with that, go ahead and take it away, Dana.
Hi, everyone. All right, so you have so many things that you just touched upon that I don't know if I was going to talk about. I'm just joking. No, I was just joking. But I got all my Christmas shopping halfway done already. I think it's the perfect time to start talking about DIY Christmas gifts. But anyway, we've been talking, and a lot of times, we have stuff we want to share with people. If we've got friends, we've got family, want to share our oils, they're not really all that interested. And so I thought, well, this is a perfect way to make something that is a healthy choice that we can share with our friends and family to give them a little taste of essential oils. So I'm not really going to talk about so much the whys as really just looking at some tips, some things to think about. I'm going to post this. Evan, can I post documents straight onto the education page?
You can.
Okay, so I'll be posting this as soon as we're done with the class tonight. So you guys will have them all. So you don't have to write down any recipes or anything like that. But I was just kind of looking at all of the things that I make at home, on a weekly, daily, monthly basis, whatever the case may be. And then I thought, what would be good things that we could share, things that people use often. And so I kind of just went through a list like bath salts, lotions, sugar scrubs, shaving creams, body sprays, linen sprays, and I just kind of put together like a whole list of things that might interest you, might be something that you would want to think about for giving out gifts, doing stocking stuffers, and just sharing with, your friends, your family, your coworkers, and it's kind of a economical, affordable way to do it. So I'm just going to kind of slide through the document that I have set up, but I'm not going to talk about, all of the ingredients and how to do it. I might pass along some tips for all of your DIY products, or maybe something specific that I've learned from this particular one. But just to give you some ideas of what you can do for do-it-yourself products. And hand sanitizer is super easy. You hardly have any ingredients, and as you can see, there's such small amounts. You could buy a tube of aloe vera that would last you for ages. And eBay, Amazon are excellent places to go. They have all kinds of wonderful plastic containers that you can use, like little squeeze tubes that you can buy for very, very affordable, maybe 50, 75 cents per container. And, make up a whole bunch of these in bulks. So, you add your essential oils.
Dana's not going to toot her own horn here, so I'll do it for her. Dana has an eBay store herself. So before you buy from a stranger, you might want to get with Dana also on some of this stuff, because she may have some of the containers that you may want or need.
I wasn't going to toot my own horn.
I know you weren't, so that's why I'm going to do it for you.
I do have a lot of containers. Some of them are super, super affordable. They're all based on the price that I get, them in a surplus lot. But I do have some excellent containers that are 1 ounce that would be perfect for making, like for hand sanitizers, for example. And then one of the things that I try to stay away from, particularly when I'm using products that I'm going to be putting on my body, is putting citrus essential oils in plastic containers. You really can't get away with, using a glass tube You're not going to carry that in your purse and travel with it, you know, for a hand sanitizer. So you really are kind of stuck with using plastic in some cases. I just avoid putting citrus oils in them just because they can be corrosive and reactive to the chemicals in the plastic. So I don't care so much about maybe my cleaning products and stuff like that, but products that I'm going to put on my body, I care a little bit more about. If it's a case where you have to use plastic, don't get all freaky about it. Just avoid using citrus oils and you'll be fine. Another thing that I like to make, and this is really great, I have a jar just next to my kitchen sink. I make a lemon hand scrub, and it's really great for sloughing off your rough hands after you spent all day cleaning your kitchen. And you'll see on here, I put, if I have a blog post for it, I've put the link in the documents. In the case like this where you see a YouTube, I actually have a number of YouTube videos that have not been released to the public yet. But I think if you have the link here, you'll be able to view it anyway. I hope you can anyway. So I put it there because it's on private now, but I think you can look at it if you have the link. So just FYI, that's why those are there. And then there'll be a demonstration of actually how I made it. But really, most of these are pretty self-explanatory. You know, get a couple ribbons, get some little tags, and, you know, you can give gifts to everybody. You give gifts to people that you've never given gifts to before this year. And I like to do this just, I buy 4-ounce mason jars. I use that for a lot of my DIY products, and those are really cute for giving away as gifts too, because it's easy to wrap a little ribbon and a tag around it. And you can get those for really cheap. You get 12 of them for pretty affordable at Target or Walmart. Now deodorant, I know that seems a little bit weird, but I give my deodorant to anybody who will take it because it's awesome.
Deodorant, the gift that may help you cull your friends list a little.
Right? But it's just so awesome. And deodorant, antiperspirant, it's just so bad. I mean, the chemicals that are in it, the aluminum, it's just so toxic. And so I'm always making it for my friends or family, anybody who will take it and try it, just to get them off of, you know, a normal store-bought antiperspirant. So, you know, it might be a little bit stretch calling this a DIY for Christmas. However, I give it away to anybody who'll take it. So, you know, take it for what it is. Now, this one, this is made with coconut oil. And so deodorants or any product really made with coconut oil has a tendency in hotter temperatures to melt. So you can make these and put them in deodorant tubes. You can buy deodorant tubes, you know, on the internet. You can buy a deodorant at the dollar store and pull out the deodorant and use your own. You can do that. I don't do that any longer because anytime my house gets hot, it gets soft and the tube really no longer works. So I store it in a 4-ounce mason jelly jar, and that works great. And you just want to use like the size of a pea because it is just, it's potent enough. And if you use too much, you're going to have the possibility of oil. I also put a scent that's a good man scent. We always have good scents for women, but when it comes to men, we're kind of lacking in something that is pretty. They don't necessarily want to smell like lavender all the time. So I just do that in there as a suggestion. Now, bath salts. Bath salts are perfect for Christmas gifts, for giving away your DIY stuff, and it's so versatile. I put in 2 recipes here, but the truth really is you don't need a recipe to make bath salts. I gave just some ideas here. This one really breaks it down a little bit more, explains the different kinds of salts that are typically used with making bath salts. So Dead Sea salt, Himalayan pink salt, Epsom salt, or a combination of them. And a lot of times a combination is really your best bet to go with when you're making a bath salt because they come in different sizes. And so you've got the different combinations of sizes that make it more appealing, but you also have some that will dissolve faster than others. So, when you put like a Dead Sea salt and you got a big coarse grain, it takes a while for that to dissolve in your bathtub. You might sit on it, it kind of hurts. You get the Epsom salt, it dissolves a lot faster. So I like to combine them. And then, like this recipe here, it gives you a suggestion of olive oil, but you can use any oil. It doesn't have to be olive oil. You can use almond oil or apricot kernel oil, or I don't know, sweet almond, or whatever you have. But that's what's so great about this, because a lot of times we all want recipes and we want to start with recipes, but as you start making them, you realize you really can't make it, you can't do it wrong. It doesn't matter if you use the oil I suggest or someone else's suggest, it's still going to be nice and it's still going to be wonderful. It doesn't matter if you use 5 drops of oil instead of 6. I mean, you're really going to be able to customize it the way you want. And use whatever oils that you want. Now, I will say that when you are doing bath salts, sugar scrubs, salt scrubs, anything that you're putting an oil in your shower, you need to be careful, because it can leave slick on the bottom of your bathtub, which is a slip hazard later on. So if you're giving it to somebody, I mean, maybe not give it to your grandma. You don't want her to slip when she's in the shower, and she's probably not going to get down on her hands and knees and clean up the bottom of the bathtub afterwards. So omit it. I mean, you can make your bath salts. Oftentimes, I actually will make them without the oils for just that reason, so that I don't have to worry about cleaning out oil on the bottom of my bathtub later. It helps with moisturizing, but it really is not going to be tragic. So play around with it, adjust things. I haven't actually done any coloring, but you can add color if you want to. You could get like beet powder if you wanted, your pinks or your reds. Probably like turmeric, I guess, if you wanted a yellow. A green powder if you wanted some greens. I really just leave it the way it is, but you can definitely play around with coloring as well when you're doing your DIYs.
On the bath salts, a couple of things. When you're adding your oils, and this is something that's not in Dana's recipe, but I found also can be beneficial. If you add a tablespoon or 2 of baking soda to those recipes, the baking soda will help absorb some of the oil and will give you a little bit less tendency of leaving residue on the floor or the walls of the bathtub.
It's also supposed to be a little detoxing for your skin as well.
It is, and by doing that, the baking soda is going to absorb some of the oils and some of the aroma, so it's giving you a further dispersant of your essential oils. You'll also find, as you start seeking other recipes and other ideas for bath salts, you'll see a number of websites that suggest adding plant and flower parts, adding potpourri pieces to it.
Don't do it.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm going to say. Don't add solids to it, because you never know how good somebody's plumbing is that's going to be using your bath salts, and the last thing you want to do is end up clogging their plumbing with a gift that you gave them. So just a suggestion. Yeah.
It's a pain to clean also. I've done it before on my own, and I won't do it again. It's a pain. Good tips, thank you. Now, shaving cream. This is amazing. You should give this shaving cream to anybody you like. We as women, when we are shaving, we're always buying, the foamy crap at Walmart or Target, and that stuff stinks. I mean, it reeks of chemicals. I used it for years and years and years. I don't know why I wasn't offended by it at the time, but I'm highly offended by it now. And there's a lot of recipes out there for shaving cream, and when you use them, you find out that they've got so many oils or so many butters in them that they clog your shaver and your razor. It's just, it's a pain. This is not going to clog your razor like most of the recipes that you have found out there. I've been making this for almost a year now, and everybody I've given it to, it raves about. This is an awesome DIY gift that you can give to whoever. And I see, like, as I'm looking at here right now, I did not put in whatever essential oils. I use essential oils that are good for the skin. Normally, I'll just do lavender when I'm making my shaving cream. It's affordable, it smells good, and it's very good for the skin. Now, my whipped body butter, I have to say that this is the most difficult of my DIY recipes that I make for my body, and it is the most rewarding. So, and it's really more just because of the time that it takes. You've got to melt your oils and mix them, and then you've got to kind of babysit them for 1 to 2 hours while they're thickening, because you don't want them to get too thick, so that you can whip them up with an electric mixer. But it is totally worth your time, and they work really great in 4 or 8 ounce plastic containers. And then for your essential, I just put in essential. I didn't put essential oils on that one either too. Wow, I got to do some proofreading before I post this for you guys. But when I do oils for my body butter, I'm kind of looking at who I'm giving it to. So like when I give it to like my nephews, I know that they bathe at night and put on their lotions before they go to bed. So I use, lavender, Roman chamomile, doTERRA has a blend, Serenity. So I use oils because I know what time of day they're using them. If I were using it for something like, during that I was going to put on in the morning, maybe I do something more uplifting. I have a blend, a motivational blend that has some citrus and some black pepper in it. So I might adjust my essential oils to the person specifically or myself based on, what I'm looking to get out of it. Am I wanting to be relaxing? Do I want something that relieves stress? And then pick the scent of essential oils based on that. And that's what makes this one so incredibly awesome, because it's so versatile. Like the shaving cream, you're really not going to do much more than maybe put in, a frankincense or a lavender. But this one, you really get to modify and make all yours. I had watched Dr. Axe do a talk, I don't know, a while back, and he was talking about how his mother, as part of her anti-cancer protocol now, puts on frankincense and myrrh that she's mixed up in a bottle, and she puts it up like on the back of her neck and around her chest and stuff every day. So you could do something like that. So you get to really make this one your baby. And it's amazing when you share it. People just love it. And it's whipped, so it's really great. It's going to be a thick consistency. I'll just tell you guys, it's a thick consistency like when you make your own homemade whipping cream. So not that light, fluffy stuff like Cool Whip. I mean, it's the thick, dense stuff. So I had wrong expectations the first time I made it, and I whipped that sucker much for me for 20 minutes because I knew it was just going to get light and fluffy the longer I went. So so I really recommend that one, and everybody loves it. And something I would encourage you when you're giving away your DIY products and your gifts to, your friends and your family. I remember I used to have a tendency when people would give me like bath kits and stuff like that, I would hold on to them like I needed to wait for a special occasion before I opened them up. Like I couldn't just dig into them, it had to be like a special reason. And when you're working with products like this that are, all organic and raw, they don't have the shelf life that gift basket that someone got from Bed Bath and Beyond or Bath and Body Works or whatever. I mean, those things will last for years. But these products aren't like that. So encourage people, tell them, hey, I made this. It's great. It's made with all natural stuff. It's got a shelf life. So use it right now and use it up, and in the next few months, and let me know what you think about it. But don't let them think that they can just set it on a shelf and get to it in a year or two, because that's not happening. Another one that's really awesome that people love to get is sugar scrubs. And what makes this sugar scrub so unique is that it has Castile soap in it. And so I literally use this every time I shower, and pretty much in lieu of soap. you know, because it already has Castile soap in it. It's not enough that it gets like, you know, it's not super lathery, but I feel super moisturized. You're going to rub it in, you know, until the sugar dissolves, and it's just amazing. So if you can find like a 16-ounce plastic jar from, you know, Amazon or eBay or someone like that, that's the perfect size. 16 ounces is perfect for this, you know, and it'll last, I don't know, it'll last a little while. Anything smaller than that is a great little starter gift, but it's not going to last a tremendously long time. Now, an awesome thing, easy thing, and super affordable are room sprays. In room sprays, you can buy a 2-ounce bottle on the internet all the way up to 8. Now, this recipe right here, I just start at 8 ounces, and then I adjust a recipe based on the size of my container. So if I had like a 16-ounce spray bottle or whatever, maybe I might adjust this recipe. But this right here is the base. So you're going to put in water. You could even exclude the vodka or the rubbing alcohol if you needed to, but it really makes a better consistency for the product, and it also helps it evaporate faster. So, you know, when you're spraying it and it lands on, you know, let's say a piece of furniture, that water's not just sitting there, it's evaporating a lot faster. And then I gave some suggestions. So down here are a whole bunch of different room spray suggestions that you can make. Like here's a holiday one. And so you can personalize these for who you're giving them to. And the thing that's great about these is a lot of these, if you have your favorite diffuser blend, let's say every day you diffuse XYZ oils in the morning, you can totally adjust that to be your room spray now. You know, and you can just spray it around, take it for your, sometimes I take it in my car. I probably shouldn't admit that, but because I'm carrying around this big old bottle, but I'm spraying it anywhere in my closet. Sometimes I use it as a linen spray even, but modify your own. So, you know, go somewhere from between 15 and 20 drops of oil in this blend, but you can, these are just a sample to give you an ideas if you're not feeling creative, but you can do anything you want. You can go out on the internet and just do a search for essential oil diffuser blends and find a bunch of different recipes, and if one sounds good, you can adapt it to be a room spray. And then I just threw in a couple of recipes that I have found on the internet, and honestly, it was just easier for me to throw in the graphic than it was to type it all up myself, so I went lazy. But body sprays are great. You can get 2-ounce spray bottles and make yourself some body sprays, and you can see here, I mean, we're talking about 4 or 5 drops of essential oil in a 2-ounce spray bottle. So it's not a lot. You can make these super affordable. I will say with all of my DIY stuff, body spray and anything else, I always use diffused water. I don't use tap water. You know, your water that's coming out of your tap has more bacteria in it, and it's more, that kind of water is more conducive to, you know, bacterial growth and mold growth. So I always do distilled with my DIY products just to give it a longer shelf life. And somewhere down here seems to be missing. I will have to find it, but where are these showing up? Wow, I got some issues here, people. A yoga mat spray. So I thought for those of you who, you know, you do yoga at the gym, you got your girlfriends that you know, you meet there and you do it. Yoga mat spray is an awesome way to share essential oils. It doesn't take a lot of oils. It's totally something that if you have someone that goes to yoga is going to use and going to love, they can just wipe down their mat, clean off all the sweats and any dirt, grime, bacteria. So it's a great addition to something that you can do for DIY. And that's kind of really all that I have here. You know, I've a lot of things that I do, I play around with, and then I make it my own after I've tried out a recipe a time or two. But they're nothing to be afraid of. DIY is incredibly easy, and even if it's very forgiving for substitutions, changing out of products. doubling, reducing. They're really super easy to modify to work however you want, and they are easy to find. So if you're thinking about, hey, what can I do for Christmas this year because I want to give everybody in my office XYZ, Google is your friend. You're going to find 20 different recipes that are all slightly similar, but one might have all the ingredients you actually have in your home, and that's the one you want to go with. But super easy. Anybody have any questions?
Well, I want to add on the sprays, make sure you're using either stainless steel or glass. Don't go with the plastic for the same reasons that Dana mentioned earlier, especially with the citrus oils. They're much more caustic in plastic, and if you don't think about it and use a plastic bottle, you could come back in a few days or a week and find that your oil has eaten through the plastic that you stored it in. Make sure you shake the bottles before you use them on the sprays. And lastly, when it comes to using the rubbing alcohol, usually you can find rubbing alcohol in different strengths. The higher the percentage on the rubbing alcohol, the better it is. All of them will work, but the higher percentage number will be your best bet when it comes to the rubbing alcohol, strictly because it's going to aid in the evaporation. But it also, if you're making a room spray, it helps keep the scent in the room longer. If all you use is distilled water, then when you spray it, it's basically going to hit the air and then drop to the surface. And it's not going to linger for very long in the air around you. So just a couple of things that we found in playing with the sprays. I know Jennifer is also really big on making DIYs. She did a couple of them today. One was a frankincense hand and body lotion that we made up for one of our team members, and she made body powder right before the call. We also make our own laundry soap, so that's another thing. And hand soap, foaming hand soap is probably the easiest thing on the planet. And you can dial that up however you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say on the alcohol, like 70 is probably the minimum that I get. I mean, I think Walmart has up to 91
right
on the alcohol.
And sometimes you have to ask for it. Sometimes because the higher percentage alcohol is usually, it's more, I almost want to say it's more therapeutic, but it's a purer product. And sometimes they have that behind the counter. There were a couple of questions that came up for you, Dana.
Okay.
Wants to know what kind of shelf life on these DIY products compared to what you were saying. Obviously store-bought stuff's going to go on for years. So Margaret wants to know what type of shelf life are we talking about on this stuff?
Well, I mean, most of the stuff that I'm using up within a month or two. So I haven't really played to see how long they'll last. I would say for the most of them, you at least have 3 months. And depending on what it is, maybe longer. But here's what I'll tell you. You'll know, if you make something with shea butter and it starts to smell funky, I mean, or for instance, say you have olive oil in your cabinet that's been there for a long, you can tell when the oil has started to go rancid because it doesn't smell like normal olive oil any longer. And your products will do this same thing. So it's not like if you use it, I mean, you might notice a difference in the consistency. It'll tell you if you have waited too long. And that's why I encourage you, when you use it, don't sit it around and wait for a special occasion. DIY is for every day. It's for eliminating all of the toxic personal care products out of your house and replacing them with, these products. The sugar scrubs, most of the stuff that, we have, I would say you've got at least 3 months on them. My deodorant never lasts that long. The shaving cream doesn't last me. It probably lasts me several months. But I haven't had any issue with that, going rancid or anything like that. You got an incredibly long shelf life on a bath salt, other than the fact that your oils over time are going to start to lose their scent. You always want to make sure that your lids are on as super airtight as possible without breaking it, obviously, because you got a loose lid. You're letting out the aroma of the essential oil, and it's going to lose its scent.
Dwayne wanted to know if you make your own toothpaste.
I make my own tooth powder, Dwayne. It's made with bentonite clay and about 15 other things that I can't think of right now. It kind of changes every time I make it. I look in my cabinet and I see which ingredients I have, and I put all of the ones that I have in it. But yes, I do have that, and it's on my website. If you go to wholehealthdana.com, under the DIY, I think there's a section for oral health, and the recipe that I use is on there that you can print off. I have tried to make a couple of actual toothpaste that has like coconut oil in it that's more like an actual paste. And honestly, I just don't like the texture of it. And so I'm very happy with the actual tooth powder. I just dip my wet toothbrush into it, wet it down and brush my teeth like that. You want to make sure that you're not sharing that. So if you and your wife want to both use like a tooth powder, you're going to want to have 2 separate containers for it, because that gum disease and bacteria can be passed back and forth. So you want to have your own.
Let's see. B wants to know, can you use witch hazel instead of alcohol?
Are we looking for like the body spray, or not the body spray? What has the room spray?
Yeah, the room sprays.
I can't see any reason why you wouldn't, because you can leave out the alcohol if you needed to anyway. You're just making sure that you're shaking it up. So I can't see any reason why witch alcohol, you like that? I can't see any reason why witch hazel wouldn't work. But you would probably want the variety that has alcohol in it. Most of the time when we're buying witch hazel, most of us are looking for a variety that has very low alcohol or no alcohol in it. And it would be kind of pointless if that's the witch hazel that you have.
Right.
Probably wouldn't be my first choice, B. You could, but I think you would be just as well with just leaving it out completely if you didn't have any rubbing alcohol or vodka.
Kiana asked if we can use other bottled waters instead of distilled. I actually, to be honest on that one, Kiana, I would stick with distilled. I mean, it's dirt cheap. It's like $1 a gallon. Part of the reason you want to use distilled water is it actually allows for better disbursement of the essential oil molecules in and throughout the distilled water. There's usually, even when you get regular bottled water or spring water, any of that stuff, most of those are little more than filtered tap water put into a fancy bottle. So they're usually they're loaded with fluorine and other added enhancements that may not necessarily be as conducive to taking your essential oil molecules and actually spreading them evenly. And you could clog the bottle. You could get a less than stellar performance out of your sprays. So personally, I would say stick with distilled for your best bet, for your best result.
I agree, and you really can't go any cheaper than distilled. I mean, it's I think it's like 88 cents at Walmart and maybe 99 cents at the grocery store next door. You know.
So we have tons of bottled water, but it's not distilled per se. So is distilled water typically better than just spring water or other types of water?
For do-it-yourself stuff, yes. Maybe we'd be well, it might be better than drinking too, depending on where your bottled water comes from. But yes, for your DIY, I always use distilled.
Now it's the opposite for a high quality diffuser. Your higher quality diffusers actually perform better with the minerals and particles that have been added to tap water. So a good quality, like the stuff from Green Air, I talked to them at length about their diffusers, and their diffusers operate better using plain tap water than they do with distilled water. It tends to throw the aroma further by using plain tap water instead of distilled.
let's see. Where, oh, my store. I'll post, I'm going to, as soon as we get done after this meeting, I'm going to post the recipes that I just showed you guys. And I'll also put the link to the store. Is that okay, Evan?
Absolutely.
If you want to look and see what I have out there, I'll just put the link right there in the essential oil education page. Who is it that asked that? B. Are you on the page, on the essential oil education page?
And if you guys have any questions and you want to unmute yourself and ask any other questions you have, feel free to do so.
You mean on your website or Summers Wellness website?
I know you're on the Summers Wellness page, but are you also linked to the Essential Oils education page?
Not sure.
B, if you put your email in the chat right now, I'll write it down and I'll send you the link.
I don't think I'm on yours either. I'm on Summer's page, but not yours. May I send my email to you too?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
And what I'll do is I'll take the, I'll get with Dana and we'll add her document to both pages, so you guys will have availability on both. And we'll do, Dana, add your website to that page, to that document with your DIY recipes.
Okay.
And that way that way it'll stay there as part of that document.
Okay, perfect. I can do that. Right.
What's you all's thought on like the Dr. Myers products that are sold in the grocery stores? And I can't think of this other one that I have.
Go ahead, Jen. Go ahead and give Suzanne.
I see her with the cross going on her fingers.
They were fine until about 5 years ago, and they were bought out by SC Johnson. So they are now owned by Johnson & Johnson. So just me personally, I don't buy from a lot of these big companies that own other things that have lots of chemicals. So that's a big no.
And there's another one. Well, I used them, actually, it was, I don't know if it was their laundry detergent, but it was definitely their bathroom cleaner. I suck at making my own laundry detergent. I've tried it 3 times. So I want to try to purchase the closest one that I can to what it would be if I had made it at home, because I'm just not going to do laundry detergent at home.
Are you trying to make powder, or are you trying to make liquid?
Liquid. Okay.
You can make a powdered laundry detergent that will work for you just as well.
I don't like powder.
I don't either. But you know what? It's so simple to make. And here's the thing. If you make the powdered detergent, all you use is a tablespoon. Add that tablespoon of powdered detergent to a ball jar with 4 ounces of water, shake it up, and now you've got liquid detergent, and then pour that into your laundry.
Okay, Evan, that sounds like a whole lot more work than twisting a cap and pouring. I'm like, really? But if someone could provide me with like a couple of recipes, DIY laundry recipes.
Oh yeah, in a heartbeat.
I've had just been horrible. And then it was another one that I use in the laundry. I can't think of what it is, but comes in a funny shaped bottle. I can't think of the name, but anyway, I'll email it later.
Something else just to keep in mind when you are making products that are DIY and they're like a personal care product that you're putting on your skin. And I learned this from making the wrong decision. I made a lotion, this pleasantly wonderful whipped body lotion, and one of the essential oils in it was lemon. And I did burn more than I normally would for the same amount of time. So citrus oils are probably a good one because they can be photosensitive, to leave out of those products that you're going to put on your skin and then go out into the sun. Like in my deodorant, I actually put bergamot, but I'm not normally walking around with my armpits to the sun, so I feel like I'm probably safe doing so. But like the lotion, for example, I really would caution you against putting anything citrus in it.
What is a good sunscreen to use? DIY.
Wow. There are a number of recipes out there. The problem with DIY sunscreen is you really don't know what the SPF is that you are getting, and nobody knows how to calculate it. So, you know, I try to practice anyway, safe sun usage, and, you know, not spending too much time in the sun without being covered, or putting on a hat, or, you know, honestly, I do have a DIY sunscreen that I make and I have used, but I almost feel like going to the environmental working group and finding their toxicity list for sunscreens and just picking one that ranks up really high, like Badger or something like that, is probably better. At least you know what you're getting for SPF. Evan, I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Kind of along the lines of what you said. If you're going to spend time in the sun, your best sunscreen is to spend time in the sun. To spend, you know, 15, 20 minutes a day in the sun is going to help boost and build your body's own ability to handle the sun. So if you spend some more time in the sun, you'll build your own natural SPF. Problem is, right now, everybody seems to be afraid of spending any time in the sun, and so they run out to get the highest SPF available, and they just keep dousing themselves in sunscreen when they could go outside and walk for 20 minutes a day for a month and build up all of the natural sunscreen that they need to spend time in the sun for a longer period of time.
Right. And I honestly, most of the time, I don't use sunscreen. You know, if I'm going to be on a long hike or somewhere where I'm going to have a lot of sun exposure that I can't protect myself from, then I will. But, you know, your body needs the sun to produce vitamin D, and it's not the sun. It's not the sun that causes cancer. It's sun burning that causes, you know, so, and unless you're going to be in a position where you can't protect your skin, maybe you're spending all day at the water park, you know, or something like that where you need to. But if you can take preventative steps to protect your skin instead of the sunscreen, that's probably your best bet. But, you know, there's times when it's unavoidable, and then you absolutely need to protect yourself. Yeah, coconut oil is supposed to be a natural sunscreen, but it's like an SPF of like 4.
Yeah.
So it's pretty low. I think raspberry seed oil is supposed to as well. And, you know, so maybe if you, you know, don't burn, or you tan very easy, and you don't, you know, you're not pale skinned and burn a lot, you know, maybe one of those is just the perfect amount of sunscreen that you need for, you know, your day in the sun. But
can I just wrap myself in aluminum foil?
Okay.
What Suzanne said.
I just said, okay. You know, hey, I do have a question. Is it, you know, I use a particular brand. We don't say brands on this webinar, but I use a particular brand. But if my company does not sell a certain oil, is it okay that I mix another company? And I did get some recommendations from Evan the other day. So I just
Absolutely. As long as you're using, I mean, there's not just one good brand out there. There's a number of good brands. There's also a number of bad brands. So really, you just want to be comfortable, you know, with the company and the oil that you're purchasing. But you can absolutely mix and match brands. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, there is no reason. And actually, that's one of the things that Dana and I talk about quite frequently, is the fact that just because you may have a preference towards or a loyalty towards a particular brand of essential oils, there is no reason to feel handcuffed like, oh, well, my brand doesn't carry this. I can't get this oil anywhere else. We do the same thing. And you know what? Even if you get an oil that you already have from the brand that you prefer, it also helps you compare what you currently use with other companies and help you confirm the decision that you made with your brand preference. You know, there's no reason to ever feel as though, you know, somebody's going to come down on you because you're trying out another brand of essential oils. I think it's unrealistic. I won't ever buy gas at only the same gas station for life.
I do. That's why I asked the question, because I buy gas from, like, I try to buy gas from the same company, or I don't mix the gas from two different gas stations. So that was why I asked, because I wasn't sure if it was good to mix, because I didn't know how inferior one was to the other.
No,
Or
you're good.
adulterated.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anybody else?
All right, I'll go ahead and close out the recording, and then we'll open it up for general questions. So, guys, this is Evan once again for Dana and Jennifer. We do this webinar, this broadcast every single Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Always a different topic. I couldn't tell you yet what next week's topic is because we haven't figured that out yet. But every Sunday at 8 p.m., we have a conversation, we have a discussion, we have a training on essential oils. We welcome you to attend, invite your friends, invite family. It's always at this same link, and it's always a similar format. We'll have a presentation at the beginning. We'll open up for questions. When we close out the recording, we'll open it up for general essential oils questions on any topic that you want to discuss. So for Dana and Jennifer, I am Evan Summers. I hope you guys have a fantastic week, and we'll see you next Sunday.